Evening, this is a scheduled meeting of the Monmouth Trails Committee. There are no guests here, so we could give the introductions. We'll go to first thing, which was the minutes from our last meeting. Any suggestions on the minutes? Yep, hearing none, is there a motion to
accept the minutes as written.
second? Seconded, all in favor? Okay. Next item is the OSI proposal. So thank you, Garrett, for getting that. One thing it seemed like it didn't quite hit or emphasize sort of the assessment of the RSU trail. I thought that was my take on it. Did anybody have a similar reading on that?
Did your consultant get a chance to come visit and walk trails, or is this part of,
That would be
after this?
Sounded like it was in and around Monmouth is what it said for trail assessment and plans and future planning.
Yeah, I agree. It didn't seem like didn't have details enough to focus right on a specific thing.
I think what we want, I think we want to make it clear that we would like that RSU two assessed, so it's can be used as part of a application to the RTP process.
Just figure out the wording again and present it again to him.
He sent me a couple questions. So he said for his in-person time, let me know if this sounds correct. He can obviously meet us at some point, hike the trails near the school, town office for assessment. Bike or hike the Nordic ski trails for assessment, and then hike behind Compton Hall for assessment. I said overall that sounded about right. So I think we can go back to him and say we want to stipulate that, RSU two is kind of the focus. I think that's fine. But yeah, I think he's well aware of, he shared the GIS maps and everything like that, so.
Maybe just sort of
Just give him a bullet list, maybe of start here, move to here.
tweaking,
Yeah.
sort of, and clarifying, because I think in deliverables, I think for the report, we want it clear that we want that, sort of
Start.
more detailed assessment on that area, and then sort of in the town assessment, it could sort of work off of that,
I mean, I think all three of those things you said make a lot of sense. The question I would have is, what does it mean for assessment? What are we getting back from that? The deliverables or field observations, geospatial data using Esri, the mapping program, and then meeting notes. So, what's an assessment give us? Just give us a.
I think for property, we talked about.
Right.
Yeah, I think what we're looking for is sort of almost like a feasibility study, like that, this is, I looked at this. This is doable, and there's a couple of little things, or here's the little things that need to be, you have a couple of crossings that need to be taken care of. I think that,
Save on money, go left instead of right here, that kind of thing.
yeah, I think it can be done, to maybe this is too wet. Go up this way. Yeah, so more detail than just sort of the high level assessment that he's gonna do in the other parts of town.
Yeah, he also talks about measuring the grade, and then what you would have to do to improve the grade, kind of stuff like that, not necessarily over there, but
Yeah.
it's a big part of the assessment. And then materials and the kind of the range in cost there.
All right, that's what I was wondering. Okay. Okay.
Yes, I had cost estimates. I'm thinking he was sort of thinking that, but I think it just needs to be
Okay.
sort of fleshed out, maybe more detail in terms of what's that part of the report will be, because I think we want that to be more detailed.
Like under deliverables,
Yeah,
that should be listed
Yeah.
under deliverables there.
you want to be able to take it and move right into the next piece and say, here we go.
Yeah, I think we could sort of plug it into the grant application.
Has anyone looked at what the grant application process might require? So that we're making sure that he's answering whatever questions and concerns you've got.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have looked at it, and we also talked to Emily, and she was here, so I think, and Doug, I talked to us.
And they
Yeah.
work with them. They work with the grant application, right? That's what they do. So they'll
Yeah,
hopefully play nice. It's a good question. Good point.
yeah. So just put that as our underlying, like, one of our underlying goals is that this can seamlessly go from what you've prescribed for us to do right into that grant, that we want that
Yeah, we can just.
that
copy paste.
deliverable
Yeah,
language.
it would be an appendix to our.
Yeah, yeah.
Are we looking for the trails behind the academy to be fully accessible trails, basically, like hard packed gravel, raised, dry, I assume?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
certainly
everybody in the community.
like sort of equivalent to what is behind Winthrop.
That's what I was.
Yeah,
wondering,
I think that's sort of what I was.
I think that's part of the grant too.
Okay,
To kind of get access to this, just to make it as accessible as possible.
yeah, and linking somewhere people want to go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think the fact that it's here, right there is a check, in terms of the grant process that essentially,
Very
Okay.
centrally located.
I think that's a great asset.
Well, and with it having the accessibility with the 55 and older pieces, the 63 houses going in, may spur more interest, more use, more.
That's a good point, that question, and I don't know if we wanna put that in his thing, which is to look at how that may be able to tie into any trail that's part of that development, how the art trail may, what the feasibility of sort of,
So, sorry. Are you saying this specific trail and factor that in to this potential development, or?
Well, I think we're just about there anyway. Like, you have that it's not too much to go there, but just plant a seed that.
Just near
Maybe.
a central location for people who do it.
I think I
Yeah.
would add that to the list of things we had, like, we had, Andy's farm and things like that. I think this might be another thing
Right.
to look at in
Okay.
terms of what's going on in the community as possible,
About the development.
sort of. I think
They're.
makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Has anyone thought about going to the planning board meeting while they're?
I went to the comprehensive planning committee a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
To see where they're at. And pretty much where they're at is kind of like where we are, where we're just kind of coming together to figure out how we want to present to the grants, to the people with the grants, what we're looking for and why our community is important and what aspects are we trying to utilize through this money. And they're having trouble trying to get people to answer surveys and for a certain demographic to respond to some of the things. So they asked me, because I was part of the trail committee, I was like, I think it's gonna take maybe somebody in the town to, just get the ball rolling and be the one that lays the groundwork, that shows people, hey, this is feasible, reasonable, and something that we can commit to and will help grow our community. And I think, and their next meeting's October 24th. So, we have time to really come up with something. And if we wanted me to go back to that meeting as a rep, I could do that and say, hey, I think if you include kind of what we're doing into your plan, it might be very complementary to your goals and helping us, achieve what we're looking for. It seems like it's a good marriage right now.
I think you're on the right cusp there. Because yesterday or the day before, somebody put out about look at the map with all the 63 and everything, and on 3 platforms for the town of Monmouth, and person who put it out started to receive some very, I don't know if I'd say they were threats, but she pulled it right off. There was a huge amount of discussion. A lot of uncertainty, a lot of unknowns. And I think if you put it in with like, hey, it's gonna serve the community, it may come out a little bit smoother on the other side. I don't think a lot of people realize there were 63 houses going in there. I think kind of people are in shock and awe,
Well.
but welcome to
The number
Yeah.
is not,
set in stone, right?
and the comprehensive planning board is, comprehensive planning committee is the committee, and it's mostly the planning board as well. There are a lot of sort of overlapping people there. But they're sort of charting out the course of the town for the next 10 years. So it's the 10-year plan.
Yes.
The planning board is the official body that will look at the developer's proposal and say, 64 sounds a little bit high,
Okay,
right? But they can also say,
need to have,
maybe you ought to think about fewer homes, and maybe you ought to think about how you might connect to this trail system that's going in back here.
there you go.
And maybe you ought to think about where the drainage is going, so you're not putting it in the neighbor's backyard. And, all of the things that cause a lot of kerfluffle on Facebook in the past week or so.
Yeah.
So, they're the body that's gonna do the sort of negotiation with the developer to sort of come to a happy medium, something that makes them a profit, something that also meets the needs on this, because otherwise they could just say no. And then, the developer has purchased this parcel and is stuck with it until they come up with some other viable way of developing.
When's the planning board meeting?
I have to look that up. I think it's, last I heard, Steve O'Donnell had not actually, as chair, received the proposal from the developer. So I don't know if it's on the next agenda or not, but if it's on there. Let's see if it's been posted. Yeah, the select board's kind of in the dark on this stuff by design. Like, they don't, the worst thing you could do is put all the economic power into, the hands of a few people. So by design, this sort of decision-making has been delegated to the planning board. Chris is checking.
I don't know.
It would be a Thursday meeting. Planning.
Meet second Thursday of each month.
There you go. And so if you go back to the calendar, if there's an agenda item that refers to that development, it would be on the second Thursday.
So that would
So
be
it's on that.
October the
That was
10th.
last.
Yeah, so
It's September, so go to October.
Curious if I had-
October 12th.
10th is the
10th.
Thursday.
I don't have an agenda.
All right, so they don't have an agenda yet. So we don't know if they've actually officially submitted the proposal. The planning. Maybe not. There are a bunch of proposals out there, for development. I mean, one on Anabescook Lake.
Yeah.
The old frost farm. Is also, being discussed. They actually are a little bit farther down the road where they submitted a proposal and they're sort of waiting for state permits before they actually issue an opinion on that.
Church.
Say again?
By the old schoolhouse church.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yes.
I think, in what I've done with the snowmobile club in the past is just communicating early is important.
Yep.
I've communicated with somebody that bought another development just off Main Street already. And I did get some contact with the person that bought the one on Main Street as well. Somebody that I'm communicating not through, not specifically the landowner, but and I know they're open to us utilizing it this winter for snowmobile trails both. But my understanding is that they're interested in having some sort of trail system out of
You know,
the
there,
one on Main Street as
Should be,
well. I
yeah.
mean, it would be beneficial to them. So I think just kind of, and I will absolutely do that when I email the new owner, just
Yeah.
letting them know we do have something we're working towards.
just
to
very
put it out
close,
there.
it would make it would make an easy,
Yeah.
it would win a lot of goodwill.
It's a good olive branch to hang out there.
Yeah,
Um,
and it would be useful to residents that would be occupying their development.
Right.
But there are a couple of landowners between us and.
Yes.
The two that we
Yeah.
would need to communicate.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, and especially if we're looking to tie it in over towards the school.
It's got some potential.
Any other feedback for OSI before I go back to them?
I think that's,
Okay.
so you want to, maybe after you talk to him, see, send it to us, and maybe we could do it by email. And see if it looks good, we could sort of
Yep.
say.
Yep.
Would you pick dates? Like if it looks good, would you just say, all right, he's got this time to come down, or did he already give us dates and that? I don't
I
remember.
gave just kind of a
Time frame.
monthly timeline,
Said October.
maybe down in October.
Okay.
But so I mean, I think after, if we say, good, I think then our next step is to go to the Economic Development Committee or.
Yep.
With that, and then to get their sort of, blessing.
Yeah.
And then to.
What was his sort of final
Well,
figure?
Well, actually, before we leave that, maybe we should just talk on the snowmobile, like the optional one, whether the people have thought about
Optional
that.
phase 5.
The phase 5, yeah, what people thought about that. Whether it's necessary now or just be.
So the price that he quoted was 6,200 for not including the snowmobile trail and then 9,700 for including the snowmobile trail.
Yes. So the
Are
62,
we comfortable with that price range in general?
the 6,200 seemed, okay, to me. I mean, that didn't seem out of, I didn't think that seemed out of.
We have a budget.
Well, I mean, I don't, we have to ask Dad, you know?
those trails are for-
That's our budget.
Yeah.
What can Dad give us?
That price includes the types of trails you were talking about where they're going to be like,
Yeah,
Well, it's
so
just-
looking through, they talk about the most sustainable, socially, environmentally and fiscally sound planning methods for the trail type that we're looking for. One thing I was wondering is they talk about prioritizing next steps. Are we willing to listen to, like, they look at all of Monmouth, they look at the trails that we're proposing. Are we willing to hear them say, this is actually where you want to focus your first stuff, not here? I don't, is that?
If we're about to make a giant mistake, I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, if he
Just, yeah, I don't know if it'll happen, I'm just
If he
wondering.
said, this is crazy,
Crazy?
yeah.
Right.
I like starting
don't
this
hear it
side of
branch
town.
out versus
Or-
starting here and being out on
I
an
mean, you could
island.
also say,
Phase 1.
this not feasible, you know, I looked
Right.
at it, it's not feasible, it's too wet back there, you're never gonna be able to do anything. Dude, so I think there is some interplay, I guess, between the two. I mean, hopefully we're right, hopefully that's not, hopefully that's not
Right.
crazy,
Right,
you
are we
know?
building a spoke or building a hub or, does that matter where we go and where we're leading to? One thing in the beginning it talks about for them to really focus on the trails is for us to define the why. Do we have a why defined already? Do they need a why? Thought when I was skimming through somewhere. Define why trail, why, what are we looking for?
They're looking for ways to interconnect the community rather than just a vehicle.
Gotta have it.
I think we have our statement of purpose, we could.
Yeah.
That's what I'm wondering,
Yeah.
okay.
We could send,
As far as the snowmobile stuff goes, I'm thinking, we could probably afford an additional $3,000 to allow the snowmobile mapping and evaluation to be included. I think that makes sense because we're trying to gain as many allies as possible. And I don't think we want to look at the potential if we, you know.
Got your nose
I
on.
would say,
perceived-
I agree with
yeah, so one thing I would say is, again, speaking with OSI. I mean, I was just kind of vague with them in terms of what we have for snowmobile, like I shared with them the map. I don't know exact mileage, I said it was about 50 miles. I mean, if we can get him more specifics, he may be able, because he was kind of like 50 miles, it's a ton of trail.
Yes,
So
it is.
that's mostly his time. If we can target that, we can kind of get that down too, potentially. So that might just be phase two, where we talk to him about phase two and
We could do it sequentially.
shrinking the scope and scale potentially, because I'm not sure, you know.
We could definitely do it in phases, but I would suggest that. Uh,
We just approve with this quote and it could go
Yeah.
down.
yeah, with the understanding that it could go down if we're able to self-perform some of the work or focus his attention on something. I'm totally open to that.
So Chad, could I ask, just, what does the snowmobile club have now in terms of mapping and stuff like that? I just sort of don't want to just reinvent the wheel.
It exists.
This right here is what we call our C4 map. That's what I basically had taken a photocopy of for last meeting. So those darker black trails would be snowmobile trails in our community as well as neighboring communities. We basically have about 40 miles that we maintain physically in Monmouth. Then we've got about 3 that are kind of branching out into other towns. We do some out into Wayne that we maintain just because logistically, it doesn't make sense for Wayne to do on the side of Androscoggin Lake that comes over towards Wilson Pond Road. We do some out in South Monmouth that go over towards Litchfield a little bit. And so we're right around 43 total, but really it's 41-ish, I guess, in our towns. So.
That big map is all, that big.
Yeah,
map
this
is what-
big map is what they call
color
a
of what it had.
C4, and basically it covers this C4 area here, so it's a lot of the Kennebec County area. But anybody's welcome to kind of take a look at it.
So what would you picture for like, so I can go back to him just to make sure he's fully aware of what we're expecting? What are we thinking in terms of what you would picture and want from him?
That was my question, it's like, how would
Well-
he sort of move the ball forward, like the snowmobile club is?
It's like,
Yeah,
I guess something that I would maybe recommend we look at is we do have areas in our town which are under like Quebec Land Trust and other things. Maybe they could help us in seeing where those areas are specifically. Those would be very easy spots that are already having trail systems in them. And just seeing if there's good ways to connect wherever our center hub is, maybe even out to those potentially. And you've already got ready-made trails where there's organizations that are helping to maintain those currently.
This breaks down the mileage and the snowmobile trail and the landowners. This is Hunt X.
On X Hunt.
Yeah. So I wonder if we can just pull maps off this and have it all set, because it's got, like, through Kennebec Land Trust, it tells you it's 4.1 miles of the
Yeah.
snowmobile trail. I wonder, I haven't played with this enough to figure out how to pull it off,
Yeah.
but maybe we can
Mhm.
work on that. To
I
get a
had the
layer.
app at one point, I don't anymore, but it is definitely a helpful app.
I would
It gives you
say,
rough boundaries.
Yeah,
I would say if Chad wants the help from them and it would be helpful to have them, then we should definitely, fly with that extra $3,000 or whatever it is to take advantage of that. That way everything's one-stop shopping.
And it could be sequential too. It could be, our priority is this trail here and branching from that, but we've already got a budget process approved for helping the snowmobile club
Mhm.
with understanding the trail system, then it just sounds like it would be a wise thing to do. And I mean, the reality of snowmobile season is that it's unpredictable. Yeah, it's growing smaller and smaller. And
may not be there.
There's that.
well, and so then people are gonna say, well, what can I do? And And when they get to that point, what can I do then? We've got a
Here's A, B,
system,
C, and D.
yeah, we've got a system to offer suggestions.
So I guess,
So-
the thing I wasn't quite clear on, so we're gonna have them evaluate the trail system for, like where they could help, or we could make additional improvements to the trail system, assuming that maybe some of the landowners would be interested in year-round use, is that kind of what you're?
I think that's got potential, and have it all in the same place, in the same format, in the same sort of document is gonna be super helpful, because then you can just like, overlay this map on top of that one and say, aha. Maybe we could make use of the snowmobile trail that already connects these 2 points. So who do we need to talk to? It's already in the system, like is like 5 properties along the way. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes
So I make a
sense.
motion that we.
So Dad,
$9,000 and change doesn't sound unreasonable. For a feasibility thing, and it also,
Can be written into the grant too,
exactly,
so
so we would
potentially
be,
recoup some of.
some of it.
It's a loan.
some of it,
Yeah.
And actually, one thing you should, so you should track, wait a second, so, I mean, how much you're spending on. In terms of, make sure, what we could put in the grant is sort of track separately from other stuff.
sure, and at a minimum, maybe it's, if it isn't completely recouped, it generates matching funds that offset costs.
One question I just in terms of sort of overall for the cost is to the extent we've added some things to his pass, sort of at least beefed up what he needs to do with the high school, is that gonna change, is that gonna increase?
It sounds like it's kind of written under there, under phase 4, to what he describes here. And the deliverable sounds like what you were asking for, I think. So I think clarifying it is fine. I don't think it should change the cost. Can't imagine.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
I get that, just.
I don't recall there being anything specifically written saying that this will help us to support a grant application. So I don't know if there's anything that we can just make it clear that that's one
of the goals.
That's one of the main reasons
Yeah.
why we want
Yes,
this.
we were looking for the
So-
preamble and the appendix to our grant application. Basically,
Basic implementation information. So I wrote next to a grant question mark. So does that mean under phase 4, basic implementation information is that? And cost estimate is there too? Does that get us to where we need to with the grant? And then we have roles and responsibilities too. We are good with all those. MTC, Bill. MTC Bill. That's underneath optional 5, but I don't believe it's part of optional 5. I think it's the end of the report.
I don't think we have any, I don't have any problem with
I think it all makes sense.
the responsibilities that he listed here.
The only part would be the one point of contact for the project by the authority to be a signatory.
oh.
That's you.
That's not additionally the sign.
I moved that. So they just don't want to be pushed from one person to the next person to the next person, trying to get permission to get going, and then they're like, oh, he doesn't have permission to sign.
Yeah, I'll just clarify that.
Who does sign? Who does hold the purse strings? How does that work?
It's gonna be the town manager.
Yeah,
that's going to sign that
yeah,
after
yeah.
the selectmen approve. 'Cause, 'cause, I mean, it's gonna be the town manager that's going to sign that after
Yeah,
the selectmen approve.
yeah, that's what I guess.
So we're going to go back to OSI, just one more,
Yeah,
and then we'll talk about it at the next meeting. Go to the economic development.
Yeah.
When is the next economic development?
21st, is that what you said?
We just met. Yeah, so could we set a date for our next meeting? We can set one,
Oh, he's on.
if that would be helpful. It usually takes us a week or two to get together. And once we know there's a need. Last week we had a couple of applications. So if it's not on the calendar, then
When would it be, you said?
it would be, I don't think we set the date.
No, I don't think I have a date written for the next meeting. Going to be two, right?
When is
I was
this?
Especially the development,
October one.
Are they looking for something else?
yeah,
October's gonna be a busy month.
yes, it is.
I have October 1, 7 PM written down for trails already.
So, you know,
that's already.
it probably wouldn't be any sooner than October 11th, like a month from our last one, but if there were something urgent, we could pull something together if we really needed to.
Do we need to?
Get a quorum beyond us, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So early
Just
October,
time wise.
how does that work
If
for
our next meeting is on the first,
October 1?
yeah. Then your next meeting would be for the
October.
Economic Development Committee, maybe could be.
Yeah.
Fine.
Second week,
Yeah.
And then when is the selectmen's?
what's
The
the
16th,
16th? Yeah, so we could meet to consider it on the 9th,
and then,
and then the select board could consider it on the 16th. Get on the agenda for the select.
Since we're kind of loading up October, do we want to look at that first Thursday in October to try to present to the school board or?
Yeah, is that the, they on the third?
They're on the email I
Yes.
got.
yeah,
Is that the third?
It's board meeting, the 3rd, 6 o'clock,
All right,
central office.
October 3rd, is it?
I'm getting a little worried that we're getting
Stacked.
pushed back, pushed back a little bit. I mean, if we, I don't know,
Do you
Well,
want to
that's the
expedite the
thing.
meeting schedule?
what's that?
Do you want to expedite the meeting schedule?
Well, if we say, if we got this back from OSI and we did an Evo
Yeah.
on it, you know, if it was no change in price and everything, it was basically just flushing out details, and we all said, yeah, this is good.
Okay,
Could you meet sooner?
Sure.
Then?
Yeah.
Cause then I think we could, be good to get
Can
them
we do
going
that?
while the weather's still,
Yeah, they were looking for October to be
Yeah.
phase 1.
yeah, so I'm thinking, if we can get this,
is that something that we're allowed to do?
well, ask us to meet to consider your thing.
No, can we meet,
email?
can we vote by email
Yes.
on something like this?
Yeah. Yeah, electronic voting is acceptable.
We're not, I mean, ours,
You're just basically
we're recommending anyway.
making a recommendation.
Yeah, we're not binding it, right? So I think.
With regards to the school board, you said that was on the 3rd.
Yeah, October
Was
3rd.
that something we were looking to have clearance with them before we move forward? with
Yeah.
anything in terms of, okay, that's.
Clearance enough that they're
Yeah.
willing to
they're-
let
they're
us.
on board to let us-
They're okay, yeah, so that,
The message
thought
I
that's what we had
got from Donna, because I reached out to her, was that, you know, she's no longer chair, so she passed on my email to Jean or Rick and said that, you know, if you want to join the meetings first Thursday of the month and you can share your concerns there. But since she's already forwarded the emails, I can also reach out to them too and say, hey, I know you got these emails. This is what we're looking at. Is that okay? And
Wasn't Rick? Did he attend?
Rick was already here.
Yeah.
Rick was
Yeah.
already here, and I think that's just, it's gonna be a formality. Just go
Okay.
in and say, yep, we met with the entire board. So that Rick doesn't take any heat when he says yes.
He was in schools today.
Dave, were you planning, I could go on the 3rd.
What day is that?
Thursday.
Yes, of course it's a Thursday. Why am I asking? Everything's Thursday. Yeah, I could go to, I mean, whatever you feel like doing.
Okay, I mean, I could go, I'm happy to go if anybody wants.
All right,
I should
if
probably-
you wanna go, you could go, and then I could be like, oh,
I
alternative.
should probably go too.
I can't go to the meeting on the 10th if anybody wants to do that, the planning board, it's Jewish holiday.
Today is the tenth.
It's a
That's the Thursday also.
Everything's, all right, I can try that too, yeah.
Should be- Yeah,
You want to do that?
sure.
You guys want to go?
Yeah, we'll go. I
right,
saw them at the
so-
snowmobile club.
When would you like the Economic Development Committee to meet?
Well, it sort of depends on how quick we.
OSI.
It'd be, wait, he got back to me within a few days.
So if we could get, let's assume we could have.
26th.
So today's the 17th. Let's say we could get everything done by like Monday, get something back from them. The 20th, that's the 23rd. If you could meet towards the end of that week.
Yeah, 26th is a Thursday, again.
So when is the selectmen meet on the 2nd of October?
So it would be
So-
prior to the second.
So if we could try to get on the agenda for the 2nd, so we need to.
So, yeah, if you could meet the 26th or, is that usually being on Thursdays? When's the economic development?
Tuesdays.
Tuesdays?
That's only, no, that's already on wheels.
But we'll leave it, why don't we leave it to you guys?
Where do we come on this thing? OSI is
Again.
Sports Institute.
Yeah, but
Like,
it's what is the name of the evaluation? Hiring a consultant to evaluate
Trail
trails,
assessment?
trail assessment,
Trail assessment.
proposed.
Assessment proposal, I guess.
All right.
We would need an application as well.
For the
From the
economic-
trails to the economic.
Yeah, I don't know if there is an application. It's
Yeah.
it's not like it's a facade improvement or
Right.
something.
Maybe we clarify if we need it to formally
Make
put it in
it,
that email or whatever to make sure.
Or maybe just again, put the mission statement in there, which would be enough to give the background and the desto.
Or, I mean, I think
A10.
maybe just if we have a cover letter with OSI's proposal, Say,
Yeah, I think that's, yeah.
we could send a cover letter, draft a cover letter.
Is that something you're willing to put together?
Yeah, I could do that. I'll circulate it.
So when we vote on it. we
Yeah,
can just
yeah,
say this is
yeah,
what we're saying.
Yeah. That sounds-
All right,
Sounds like we're good. Do we need to do anything to get on the agenda for that?
someone should reach out to the town manager about getting onto the agenda for the October 2. I mean, I can just send. Can you go back to the calendar? So you said September 26th.
Which one are we looking for?
Next Thursday.
What's that date in
That
regards
was
for
for-
what meeting?
For,
That's econ.
Okay.
for them to do
All right,
things.
so it's just the week of the 23rd. So somewhere in that week. Uh, a recommendation to I'll put it through and I'll ask the town manager to put it, put the matter on the first meeting in October. So,
That's on the second. Do you guys for the economic development committee need Anybody else other than yourselves? Cause you're all set. You don't need anybody else.
I think Garrett could make the perfect.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
recuse, yeah.
Yeah, you just recuse and as long as we just need a forum to open the meeting,
Yes.
we don't have to forum to vote.
Okay, great.
Give a way to get on the school board meeting. Agenda.
Well, you can go in and sign, and then you speak your 3-minute piece and they don't talk to you. I mean, that's general
Well, you
public
can do that
comment.
anyway,
Yeah.
but we can probably get on the agenda by,
You
I
know,
don't know.
Yeah, you made to put that on. I can do that because,
Can you do
I mean,
that?
especially since I teach the outdoor ed class, it's my purview to, for that trail.
Okay,
Yeah.
that'd be great.
tag.
So that's October 2nd, right?
School boards.
October 3rd. Okay.
Okay, well, sounds like we're got a plan there.
Yeah, let's do it.
So I think we covered the RSU two
Mhm.
already, so next thing would be survey.
I sent you guys all the survey link and I printed off a couple on here. Sorry, and as I was looking over this, I didn't print off the jillion copies. I forgot to add snowshoeing. Like I didn't put snowshoeing in there.
You didn't yeah,
And I did add Nordic trails,
Yeah.
and
Should we read the description for the
Yeah.
sake of the folks on the TV? Yeah, that matters.
Right, it says, at the top of it, it says, thank you for participating in our community trail survey. We're gathering input to better understand the types of trails residents would like to see developed or improved in our town. Your feedback will help us plan future trails, including options for walking, Nordic skiing, biking, equestrian use, ATV access, and more. Please take a few moments to share your thoughts and preferences. Your voice is important in shaping the future of our town's outdoor spaces. I made a few of them required just so that we're getting that legitimate information on there. And I do want to add on question 3, I want to add snowshoeing. I did put other on a lot of these so that if people have other ideas, obviously they can add those in.
Should we put snowmobiling in there, or is that under ATV? Really under ATV.
That's a
isn't
good,
it?
I don't know, do we
I
put snowmobiling in with
So
ATV?
I think it's a
Yeah.
different.
Chad space right there.
Different?
No snowmobiling. That's gonna be a big population. That might get a big population to
Yeah.
lead the rest of the survey as well.
Okay,
Can you make it when they click on other, it can specify something else? Cause
It
when I
won't
click
let
on
you.
other right now, it doesn't.
okay,
It'll show some of that.
yeah, I will
I
go,
wonder if we should add a question or modify one of these questions about the issue of golf carts on public ways.
I thought with the ATV, I think it could go in there, yeah.
Yeah,
ATV / golf cart or ATV, then a second one for golf, another one for golf cart?
It's a different critter.
It,
Yeah,
It's really a
Okay.
different critter, don't you think?
Yeah.
I would just, and for the ATV question, would you support the creation of ATV accessible trails in our town? Let's say, we're kind of talking on public roads, right? Are we trying to?
I
Well-
think, but we have to have some bypass of a trail to get from point A to point B, and that's where we've got to get the data to figure out where do you want to go. I mean, Curly's, when that was there, that was like a hub. That would have been somebody's number one, or Leone's, like boom, that's where they want to go. Now it's like, where do we go?
Yeah, I just feel like we're not saying that we've been talking about putting it on public roads.
Okay.
So I'm just saying, I think I would, if I was gonna fill out the survey and say yes to this, I'd wanna know if we're talking public roads or just a trail.
Right.
Okay,
So I think just. Also the state.
all right.
Or it could just be a separate question. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm agreeable to a separate question that says, to what extent would you be willing to allow golf carts?
Okay,
To what extent would you approve of the select board okaying golf carts on public ways? Golf carts and ATVs and side by sides on public ways.
you want to say public ways or public roads?
Public roads, they probably
Do
understand.
people know, yeah, people know what you're talking about.
Yeah, on public roads, right. And then you could give them a level, you
Spell
could,
it out, yeah,
Catherine, you could say, never, you could say,
tolerable.
you know,
Sunrise to sunset.
yeah, it could be daylight only, it could be, or it could be, they can go this far and that's it, right? I mean,
That's way to.
Okay.
Yeah.
for a
Alright.
limited number of miles or just, to connect 2 points of interest, only to connect 2 points of interest or two businesses or whatever, I don't know.
Okay,
Think about that. what
I'll
that
work on
posting would look like. I'm open to suggestion, but I do think we need to put the elephant on the table
okay,
and, I'm willing to be surprised one way or another.
I'm glad you moved it down in the survey, though. It didn't leave
That
that.
signage.
Oh, yeah, because otherwise people would be
Well,
like.
The first version of the survey she had, that was the leading question. I actually would suggest, I don't think we should start. I think we actually should move it down. a little. I think we should put some more, one or two
Yeah.
more of the general questions up earlier and then put the ATV and the specific ones later. I think,
okay.
so it's not,
I agree.
Yeah, I could turn
I
people
know
off.
as far as the snowmobile club, we are a snowmobile slash ATV club, but our ATV portion is primarily just organizing rides where we go,
Going.
where there is a trail system, because we have not had good feedback.
Yeah.
As far as trails, we are in between 5 lakes, right?
Right.
So there's a lot of wet area and it would be, and we just haven't, I mean, there is
So the other thought,
concerns.
the other thought is to say, this isn't just about ATVs.
Right.
Too. I mean, people are using golf carts as for mobility impaired transportation. Side by sides.
Yeah, side by side.
E-bikes, something to talk about too. I know the game warden mentioned those snowmobiles.
Yeah.
Now that's a whole different category of like regulation, and all this stuff that comes with them.
Yeah. So we might wanna, you could soften that by giving different, either smashing them all together, I don't know if that's helpful. Or giving, different possibilities, because I think you're right, there's sort of a knee-jerk reaction on the term ATV. But when you say side by side, you might win over a few people who are like, oh yeah, I've done that, that's not a big deal. And then you say golf cart and people are like, that's what they use on a golf course, they're not gonna tear a place up. What the reality actually is completely different to the stereotype, I suppose, when you pick the term.
should we say, would you support motorized vehicles like ATVs or golf carts used for transportation in the town? As opposed for use for recreation. So, and then like, how would you use it for transportation? What would you want to be connected to? Schools or
Travel.
local business? Yeah, exactly.
And another relevant question might be, would you support that as long as it's regulated, operated by a licensed driver of a certain age? you
I mean,
could say,
state laws have to be followed.
And
Yeah.
that that it's appropriately signed, like there are
Yeah.
signs that direct people as to what's going on, both motorists and golf cart drivers,
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
so that you can sort of, I mean, you're kind of using the question to tell people, look, this isn't gonna be the Wild West.
not free for all.
We're thinking.
Yeah.
This would be a very limited, very controlled, very regulated thing. And,
According to state laws, like state has laws for age of drivers and training and.
yeah, it's gotta be a registered vehicle.
I mean, I'm picturing
you
kids,
know.
with this question, I'm picturing kids driving,
Well.
we're driving
14.
to school instead of, they use them as, they could
Right,
snowmobile to school,
snowmobile.
now they'll be on an ATV to
Like-
school.
Been so exciting.
Right, right.
We can make Finn's bike legal.
So
Great.
there's that whole iteration of saying, look, this isn't just a black and white thing. There are a ton of shades of gray about how we could handle this situation. And find a reasonably safe way to be permissive about it.
All right, I will I will work on getting those things in there, wording it.
We get some time, right? You don't have to have that until November 5.
Okay, good.
And I did mention it at the select board meeting. And everyone was, at the last one, and everyone was cool with that, that after people vote, they would get this survey.
Okay. All right.
They have like iPads set up at voting or something and.
I think a piece of paper,
That,
a
or
piece
just,
of paper,
oh, okay.
hand them a piece of paper and then
Yeah,
let
or
them
they-
turn it in.
Or they could
Or they can
take,
QR code.
they could QR code,
it
take
and
a
pull it
picture
right
of their
up.
phone, and do it on their phone.
No, it's gotta be a piece of paper, I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
So then-
the people who vote,
So I think the question would be, are you putting it online and you're putting it in front of somebody too?
I think we're gonna have to do both because seriously, to get the under 18 population, which is at high school.
yeah, you're gonna do
You're
QR.
gonna QR code
Yeah,
that,
that's
and that puts the data on the spreadsheet for you, and then it does it all. So I
Yeah.
think if we do offer it paper or this, I mean, it only lets you pop in one email address. So it's,
It's gonna be hard to manipulate the data after the fact.
right,
Well,
We'll
someone's gonna
figure,
have
we'll
to key
figure
it
it
in.
out. Yeah,
Yeah. Someone will have to key it in off paper because,
you can't
If
key it
you-
in because you don't have unless you have a separate email address for every survey.
well, I'll
unless
ask them for the
well,
email
You
address.
could change the priorities of the survey
you can after, I think.
right after.
Because you can go in your spreadsheet and just at the bottom, put in people's
I'm just
answers.
worried about the data, if we're offering two methods and not monitoring who's responding.
Yeah, that's gonna be, we're
It's a survey,
we're
so-
gonna be, yeah. And we've had people game it when they felt really, really strongly about
Stuff the
something.
ballot box.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, I
There's
guess
another guy that
him-
won the presidency 5 years ago. I don't really pay attention to that much.
I mean, what happens when they don't fill in the bubble? When they don't fill in the bubble correctly, it's not counted, correct? So we can just put full disclosure, no email, no count. No valid email.
Yeah.
It's not going to count.
So on the piece of paper, ask them to,
It says email address, you know, and I
Required.
guess, yep, and that's gonna be your key in.
yeah. So, yeah, you can't, we do need to offer a paper version because there are just way too many people who are not technologically
Yeah.
fluent.
But from the
Yeah.
papyrus age.
And they-
I'm a fan of
The
that,
original
too.
And they
trail
will take the
stuff.
survey, but they will get in your face about how you excluded them from the survey.
Right, right.
That's good to know.
Okay, so I will work on that and get that squared away, where
Awesome.
away.
It's a good start. Thank you.
Yeah. What was? One was on question 7, where it says more handicap accessible market. This, I was trying to figure out a way to,
So
I think that's PC. Is that what you're worried about?
well, I think it.
ADA,
Well,
Mobility impaired.
no, I'm also thinking about. Is that sort of, if you say handicap accessible, then are you?
I think it
Are people
comes,
gonna be assuming that you're gonna be putting?
A wheelchair on it.
Yeah.
some sort of assistance, whether it's a walker available. You're, and I think that goes into our signage that we'll get to eventually. This trail is denoted as handicap accessible. You know, here's your definition of, like,
Hard pack.
it's a black
Hard
line
pack.
and don't go down it if you're not gonna be able to get back up. You know,
Yeah.
but there's always,
I think
yeah, there's always risk
it's
assessment.
it's a
It is.
hard way to, it's a hard thing to, people have different sort of connotations on that, yeah, like.
They totally do, right?
Yeah.
Right. But I don't. One other thing was. In this gets to a little bit about sort of road use kind of thing, in terms of, bike lane and pedestrian lanes on roadways. We wanna ask that question in terms of.
Say it again, Chuck.
Having specific lanes on roads for bikes and pedestrians, because
Yeah.
right now our sidewalks are
Gotcha.
minimal, improving, but minimal.
Yeah,
We got them up to the school.
So would,
Yeah, I
would
mean,
adding specific bike lanes,
was that something you would support?
Interesting.
Would you support, you know, bike pedestrian lanes on?
I'm sure a lot of people would say yeah, because there are a lot of people like in the school and the parents are like, I don't let my kids do that because there's no space for that. And I'm worried. I was like, hey, just ride the white line, you're good.
You know,
It's past your house.
because I was thinking
Yeah.
like, you know, like sort of the trail, like we put that trail in, you know, and we have sidewalks on Academy and Main, but like, you know, like you go on Blue Road, then you're taking your life and
Other-
that's it, and that's a sort of a nice loop, you know, I mean.
it's very
I thought
nicely.
like you could do like the Merced and Blue, and you could really make a nice loop by putting some kind of lane in. So I mean, that's something that.
Right. So in the survey, when you offer that, where's the money come from? to
Right.
Improve the roads for that? They're
Well-
like, are you asking if I am approving money to?
No, no,
to widen
I
the
mean,
road?
I think it's just a.
Gauging the
I think
interest
it's just an
of,
interest, I think it's just interest,
Yeah.
this is all interest,
So
you
just
know,
clarify
Right.
that. Yeah,
okay,
I mean,
Okay.
every
yeah, I see
day.
a lot of people walking on Blue Road and stuff, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know about that,
What's that?
just because I think people are just gonna say, well, how are you gonna do that? Where are we gonna get the?
where are you
money
gonna
to do
widen
that?
it?
Yeah.
Well, that's,
Just seems
Right. You're cutting
like a
it,
really
Mm.
big.
cutting into that town right away in your
Yeah.
front yard to put a sidewalk in or to put another lane for one.
and
It
there's
also
really-
could be done on, you know, I mean, one of it on 132, you know, in terms of you, when that's DOT money, you know.
Yeah,
So, and,
They're already talking about that, by the way.
Yeah.
In the DOT plan, they're talking about taking some parking spaces off to leave enough space so that they can widen lanes and put something.
yeah, well, I think that's honestly a lot of the Amish.
Walkable town.
Yeah,
Walkable
could be.
town, that's great.
Yeah.
I mean, we almost met one pulling a boat down by Ridge Road in
Oh, yeah.
9 o'clock at night.
What?
Mhm.
Wow.
They were, you couldn't, they like
have a
the
light
dark
going?
horses. There goes, I like, this carriage and there's just a little two tiny candle lights and there was a
Yeah.
whole boat behind it. And we kind of went, did we see this? Like, yep, we did. They were coming home from fishing.
I like it.
Yep.
Yeah, my vote.
They need it. That's one I like fast. Lights. All right, so I'll get on that, work on that stuff. And I'll resend the link to you guys, I think.
Should just approve for overtime, another
Yeah.
7 hours, yeah, before it goes public.
Oh, yes, please, somebody else for me.
Yeah, well, we can look at it at our next meeting and I
Yeah.
think we'll still have
Sure.
enough time.
Okay.
Hash it through.
thanks, Catherine.
Yeah.
That was great, yeah, it was really good.
Right, so other old business, is that what's up?
Yeah. Anything? Anything?
Old business, did we get anywhere with Dave Caring?
We're on the agenda.
We're on
I mean,
the
I assume
agenda,
we're on the
okay.
list. I got a link today, I didn't know,
Well-
just in general.
The link I got today was just a permission slip for kids.
Oh, is that what it
So
was?
that's all it was.
I didn't look at it.
All right.
I'm assuming,
the ski trails, those trails are on the list for David.
right, I guess it's true, it's not even something we've been.
And what day is that again?
27.
Friday.
Right.
I'm trying to plan out my chainsaw schedule.
What is-
What is Dave Caring?
Well, I didn't pick up the,
Day,
Friday, the 27th.
no, but what did, I'm,
day of caring
was-
is
it
a
was
day where
School.
the school
Oh.
has kids go out in the community.
oh, the day of care.
Volunteer work, yes.
Yeah.
So we asked if we could have a day,
Take
have
it
some,
from
if
the
kids would want to do day of caring work on the
I
trails.
thought Dave Caring.
I heard Dave Carey too. I was like, I don't need this guy. Why do we gotta meet this guy?
Sorry, sorry.
That's good.
I didn't enunciate.
Okay, all right, now it's making.
Now it's clicking Dave.
Is there
Hey.
work to do on the school trails versus the mountain bike ski trails? I don't think there's much. And I can do it with my class, actually, if there is. Yeah, I'd say over at Frederickson's and rendezvous there and go in. There's some stuff there.
Well, so
Yeah, it's
on Saturday, on Sunday, this coming Sunday, I'm going to do some work out there, so I put that out to the Facebook group. I don't, that does
I
the
saw a lot of
ski
people
stuff,
couldn't
so,
make it.
yeah.
It's like-
People said they can't make it, so I don't know who's gonna show up, but you guys are all
What
welcome
time
to
is
show up, 10 o'clock on Sunday.
Can you add,
Bring
on
my
Facebook?
tools.
you add me to the group,
Yeah, it should be.
please, and thank you.
Well, I need to friend them first,
That'd be good.
so.
You said there was a new loop out there.
There's a new loop.
Is that all on the neighboring property?
It's all on Richards. Yeah.
Okay. And that needs
Some-
sticks, leaves,
somewhat.
brush,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
There's some stuff that I want to cut out there on Sunday.
Big
So
stuff, brush
what I'm
work,
figuring
okay.
is on Sunday, I'll just go out and cut, and just pretty much not worry about cleaning up so much.
Yeah, that's gonna be your approach. You're gonna come in from Frederickson's and cut across that new trail? Okay. There's an oak tree there.
Yeah, about chest
I
level.
got a lot out of the way. That one I couldn't get out of the way.
Yeah,
And then there's another one down the ways that has some branches that could come out of the way, but I got a lot of it out of the way.
Sounds like fun. New ones.
I'll have a group
There's-
as well doing the snowmobile trails that day.
Oh, you got a group?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Last year was the only year. There's only last year, so, but yeah, won't be doing. Right in this year. Usually, about 8 students go out.
Good.
Perfect one for me.
You want
Perfect.
help with that day?
Yeah,
I don't mind.
yeah.
Tell me where.
Yep, all right. Usually I end up focusing on state trails, so the main ITS connector trail system
Okay.
is what I typically focus on that day, so. I'll let you know what section I'm gonna do.
A lot depends on what kids sign up for too. How many kids we get.
I think Finn will.
Yeah, all right, perfect.
Before we move on, I want to make sure we get a plan for having meetings covered. Comprehensive planning meeting. Dave, are you on that?
Yeah, the next
next
one is the 24th, it's 6:30 in here.
Okay. And then
School board.
school board,
School board, I'll do that.
you can,
I'll get it on the agenda and I'll probably end up going too,
Okay.
but unless there's a.
and then if the agenda gets published, it's not, the process for the planning board and its proposed development involves multiple meetings, multiple monthly meetings. So if someone comes in and presents a proposal and they say, great, we have your proposal. We're gonna evaluate it for, completeness. And then they have another meeting the following month on whether or not the proposal is complete. And then they have another meeting, I think it's usually like 3 in a row, where they actually vote on whether they're going to approve it or not. So there's lots of bites at that apple, but we might just wanna have, I don't know, does anyone know the new property owner down there? For
here,
yeah,
Where, sorry,
this 64 unit,
on Main Street.
yes.
you know the new owner?
Yeah, it was Chris Gould and his uncle are the
Okay,
two.
yeah. And so we might wanna just reach out to them and just say, hey.
Yeah.
You're
Yes.
really close to where we're thinking about doing a very formal,
Mhm.
accessible path. Wouldn't it be wonderful if you're got a 55 and over community? You'd earn bonus points from
From large
your neighbor.
quantities.
Yeah,
Sell their
if you
properties
figure out a
to
way
the
to,
trail Connected to it.
yeah,
It would increase.
and we can work together if you've got neighbors that need to, give us permission to go over
Yep.
to you.
I did start drafting up a email to
Okay.
him, to touch base with regards to the snowmobile trail, which he has already granted permission, it sounds like, for that for this year. Just due to timing and stuff like that, it'll work, but
Yeah.
I was gonna let him know that I was on the trails committee as well, so. That's great.
And then, cause what they will do is then go to the planning board and say, well, here's how we're being here's how we're serving the community, and we've already talked to X, Y, and Z about
Mhm.
you know, potential linkages for trails. Yeah, so it can be a feather in their cap
Mhm.
when they're making the presentation.
Are they putting in a pool, a clubhouse, a gated community and have golf carts?
Not that I'm aware of, but
They're all possibilities.
I was looking, I didn't know what it meant, so.
yeah, I'm not sure.
A little drawing didn't show
There is a community room,
that, you're right, a community
Just
building.
something, something,
Yeah,
But
Nice.
you'd
It had a
think they'd be
pond.
putting in a
There's a
pool or
pond?
something.
There's a
like a
pond.
Florida Community Center, like a.
Oh,
Shuffleboard.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
shuffleboard.
Yeah.
It's reasonable to put in a pool as well. That's.
Yeah, that's well, that's decent number of houses, yeah. Yeah. We go swimming at night.
I think Chris said he was gonna go to the.
I can go to the next one, if it's not on the agenda, don't know if I'll go or not.
Yeah.
There is that other development on 135 that's being discussed, I don't know if there's, if they've thought about trails in that community. or
there is a
connect
snowmobile
there.
trail across.
Are you talking about the one in East Monmouth?
Yeah,
So I had met with the owner of that development back when she first purchased, and she was open to working with the snowmobile club. And having that trail continue to go through. I just asked that we kind of look at like a 5-year plan as well, like if there was opportunity to. If we had to move the trail, know roughly where it should be, so we didn't have to do it too many times or whatever.
mm,
But it did sound like she was open to continuing to allow access over time for that trail to go through the area, so.
yeah,
Access to, on the for sale sign, access
Right.
to Snowmobile Trail.
Yeah.
yeah.
IT.
Still an old.
Yeah, unless. Anybody have anything else on?
there's the milk house.
Andy Smith.
Yeah, so he sent me an email recently, so. Wanted to let the trail committee know that they're open to having public trails on the farm. They're located near the Woodbury Bird Sanctuary access point on the Carver Road, so there's potential to link. Significant amount of walking trails through their property. If we're interested in discussing at some point, no.
I mean, it sounds like.
Cool, could that be?
He's
I
also
think-
on the comprehensive planning committee.
I think OSI's could be looking at that, so I mean, I think maybe after they come back with their report, I think it might be.
Connections, oh, about
Yeah.
connecting trail, yeah. Places to go to.
The Woodbury Bird Sanctuary is very limited use.
Yeah. I think I was there once.
I don't know if you've been there before, but.
Oh, yeah.
This sign, like. You can be there and walk, but
Don't bring your dog.
don't talk. This is a great place to be quiet.
Contemplate.
Watch the birds, but yeah.
Watch the birds, no picnicking, no riding bikes, no having fun.
Pretty
Something to work on.
militant. Hey, they're serious birders.
There might be a, yeah, disturbing birds.
Oh, yeah, so does anyone think they can make it on Sunday to help out? They can make it.
Possibly.
What time is it?
Yeah.
And you're gonna park by where we usually do it?
Want to?
I'll bring my toys.
Start at 10.
10.
Something on my calendar, but I think there was something said that I'm supposed to make. I forgot what it was.
Yeah.
I do have to shop for a movie that day too.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
They take another dog.
What's that?
Yeah, that my grandma's camp taking out.
Oh, doc moving in. I wait for December.
The odds.
Take a
Then you can just walk in and lift it.
She does it itself. It just lifts it right up for you.
Taxi. Put it right over there. By spring. Yeah, it's gonna be December.
Yeah.
Based on the water.
Somebody asked, so for new business, somebody asked if we can look at as a trail committee, the blacksmith shop to the what's the concrete thing there that they shut down? I don't know what it's called.
Would that be McCabe's,
Damn.
like the rabbit farm?
Oh, you mean
type?
that little place over there?
The rabbit hutch.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so like this really threw me for a loop, cause I said, what?
This is Rudy Johnson.
No,
Is that why you wanted to know about the trail committee?
There's a little part.
it was Justin and Lori. You made Dad ask me. I said, what? He said, that's the one they shut down during 2020. Cause the kids were using it as lights,
Oh, I know what you're talking about now.
I
right?
might be familiar with that area.
Someone was
So-
encouraging the kids.
So on my road, there's an old foundation.
We were
coal
outside 6 feet
farm,
apart.
A coal
Yes, you were.
storage place. And, you know, it was COVID, so the kids started mountain biking and they found that park. And they made little loops through the woods to ride their bikes on, which they were okay with. But then when like the rocks were stacked and they were, you know, little jumps on the trail, they didn't like that. So they kind of said no more. They said no more jumps. They said they really can't limit the biking, but they kind of did.
This
limit
is
the biking.
town-owned property? Is that-
Yes,
It was like
Yes,
that,
it's a
that
little-
revamped it for that little park sitting area that no one used, and then COVID came and like
but they
flocks
asked,
of kids were going
Right
there.
across from Laverne house.
yeah, they asked if they could do Blacksmith down to that
Stream.
as a walking trail.
How far is that? Is that-
Not, it's like four house back, I guess.
It's a hiccup.
It's a little, I don't know.
It's not much of.
No, it's not much of a
It
walk.
draws the kids though.
It would be nice to hook that to something, 'cause right now it's not.
Yeah,
It just has the flower.
In the
It's a
economic
tower.
development committee meeting, there was somebody who brought up, connecting kind of, this is all kind of connections, so
Hmm.
connecting the town dock all the way up to the blacksmith shop, just to kind of almost like be able to walk through town instead of on sidewalks, which I think
We have a
ultimately
guided
we could
path.
say is,
Yeah,
that's our goal. I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
That is kind of a neat ravine down there.
It really is pretty to walk through it.
Yeah.
It's very, I mean, it's.
I mean, Ginger
It's
Hillier,
permission from a lot of people to
well,
walk through.
Ginger
it.
Hillier has property on,
Yes.
on the Welsh Avenue side.
Yeah.
And
Right,
she's
she
done a
goes-
lot of work down there.
She goes pretty far up to Maple Street.
Yeah,
I think
Yeah.
she
Don't
comes.
you, but Sarah's?
yeah, she's one or two houses, properties away from, I think, hitting that park area at this point, but. And they have the Sash Mill Dam. It was really cool. They have the little history piece of the old dam there and things and, but yeah, having a trail that goes through there is just, it's a neat ravine, but it's a hard area.
Yeah. So I was
A lot
just
of
asked to bring it.
Yeah,
bring it
a lot of
to attention.
permissions.
A lot of
Done,
permissions.
brought it up.
Check.
Okay.
Okay, you fulfilled your duty. All right, for agenda for the next meeting.
Second draft of the survey.
Second draft of survey, yep.
And we're gonna vote on the OSI thing before then, right?
Yes.
So they can get started.
That'll be
When,
through
when,
email.
when is our next meeting? Have we set that date?
Was the
Yeah,
first?
Yeah, and then
October.
I think maybe
October, who knows?
if there's any prep for the selectmen meeting with, you know, on the OSI.
We'll have a lot of report outs based on like RSU meetings and stuff.
Yeah, we're all,
They are-
we're all.
Yeah, the
scouting
RSU
what to do
meetings
stuff.
after that.
It's our, yeah. Yeah, we have the
So if we're able to thread this needle and get an approval from the select board at our first meeting in October, which is the first week of October, then we're gonna be on track with OSI for their sort of.
I think
Ready to go.
I think that puts us in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
It says yes.
A lot of movement.
It's good.
Hmm.
Anything Also, I guess maybe any updates on the development in terms of the hyper property development.
Yep.
Okay.
Ride their ATV to the meeting. Very cool.
That's hilarious.
Ever try to walk on a trail that's an ATV trail? If they try to walk on
No. Busy?
it? Well, at least when I was doing it up in
Yeah.
How much dirt left?
Roots and rocks?
It's a lot of rocks. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting, yeah.
Where my cousins live in Georgia, they have the golf cart trails next to the road and the kids, you're for miles, it's all golf carts. That's what you take. You go to the grocery store with it, you go to school with it.
I mean,
It's
sounds like
very
Environmentally and it, like, looking for that green aspect, it'd be great.
Yeah.
For the cars, for the short runs back and forth. I mean, I was riding my bike through town and it was just cars would go by and it smelled like gas. It was so, warm out. And I'm like, phew, gassy. It'd be good to get rid of that.
Okay, anything else for the agenda, the next meeting? Yeah, and it needs to go to Justin by Thursday, right? Yeah. Yes, yeah, okay. All right, sounds good.
We
Any
need a motion to.
motion to adjourn?
Second.
Ed, favor? Yes. Excellent.
All right. You know what, Liz Otter?
Yeah. Is it a?